I want to tell you, don't be in a place where you feel like you can't be truthful about, hey, I'm not losing the weight like everybody else. I'm just not. It's not coming off as quickly as everybody else is saying that it is. And those of you who may be seeing a slow weight loss, go ahead and put it in the comments so that we all can say, hey, we in here. We there are those of us who are not losing as fast as other people are reporting. Then duration. It says weight loss can be gradual and it's important to have realistic expectations. So that's when I really had to come back and say, okay, get real. What's your realistic expectation? Hello, this is Lifestyle for Living. I want to come on and give an update of 3 months of being on Wegovy. Well, I must admit, it has been nothing like I thought it would be, expected it to be, or even desired for it to be. I will tell you, this has been more of a struggle for me these past 3 months, and solely because I have been looking at those numbers on the scale. And I really anticipated that there would not have been that much of a difference between the 3 months that I took the Mounjaro versus the 3 months on Wegovy. I really kind of did not modify anything. I kind of did the same exact thing. And when I was on Mounjaro for 3 months, I didn't increase my dosage. I stayed on a 2.5 for 3 months and I lost 21 pounds. Well, guess what? On Wegovy for 3 months, I did stay on the 0.25 for 2 months. I went up to the 0.5, and if you've been following me, you know I got sick, really, really sick, emergency room sick. They ended up saying it was some type of food poisoning, but I still was unsure if it was the 0.5 or what. So I came off of Wegovy for 3 weeks. I went back on to the 0.25, and in these 3 months, I've only lost almost 6 pounds. I think when I calculated it, it was like 5.4, 5.6 pounds in 3 months. Now, there are different things that can impact your weight loss, and that's one of the things that we have to realize. But one of the things about being on the Wegovy, you know, there have been studies that have shown that the weight loss on a Zepbound Mounjaro, which is the tirzepatide version, you're going to see a greater weight loss versus being on the semaglutide. And the reason why I wanted to post this too was to be encouragement for those who may be on a semaglutide and you're not seeing the weight loss as you would like. But there is also a reason why with my particular insurance, it said that I had to actually show that I was unsuccessful on Wegovy and on Saxenda before they would even possibly consider doing what they call a alternate approval of me going on Zepbound. So I guess in all fairness, if I was to look at this, I could say, okay, yes, I tried Wegovy and it did not work. It was not effective for me and I'm not losing the weight. But I'm still going to keep going for the next 3 months. I'm back on the 0.5. I have good news. I did lose 3.8 pounds this week. And you know what? That's solely because I started a different little traction of my calories. I started monitoring my calories a lot more, and I started eating factor meals this past week, which I think gave me more calorie and portion control. In fact, I honestly felt like I was eating more than I was eating before, and it could have been historically the reason why I didn't lose as much these past 3 months is because I am still working out pretty much like 4 to 5 times a week, and my body was just probably saying, hey, I'm holding on, I'm not letting go because you're not eating enough and you're trying to deprive me. So one of the things I can say this week, I felt like I was nourishing my body more. I was giving my body more. I did a video earlier talking about you got to know your why. And I realized for me, I had to eat more in order to see weight loss. And so when I did see a trend of me trying to eat more, which that's just not something that I was doing because I was doing a lot of one-day meals, OMAD, I was doing a lot of intermittent fasting, and honestly, with taking the Wegovy, I really thought, okay, yeah, I'm going to see the same thing that I saw when I took the Mounjaro. It didn't happen. So me doing the factor meals this week and losing over 3 pounds gave me some encouragement to say this is why I'm going to continue on the Wegovy for another 3 months, because when I got the prior authorization, I was given prior authorization for 6 months. So that's what I'm going to do. But I want to let those know who are trying the Wegovy and you're not seeing the weight loss. There are some factors that could impact the reason why you're not seeing the weight loss. One could be if you're insulin resistant, i.e. a pre-diabetic, you have PCOS, those type things can impact your weight loss. And your blood sugar levels can be indicative of why you're not seeing the weight loss. That's one of the things that I had to figure out. I even did another video that talks about, do you know what your blood sugar is? Because if you're still saying you're eating less calories, or you may feel like you're eating less, if you're a person who has insulin resistance, you're going to see spikes when you eat certain foods. And as I mentioned before, when you eat certain foods and they spike your glucose and that spike stays up, guess what? That can turn into fat. So it's been shown that people who have insulin resistance can lose weight a lot slower as they are on these type of GLP-1s, semaglutide, and even probably more than likely tirzepatide. So even though I saw a much bigger weight loss for 3 months on the actual Mounjaro and taking this Wegovy, I'm seeing that I may have to increase my dosage in order to see the weight loss like I want to. One, because it'll help me control my blood sugar. But I'll tell you, this week with me eating the factor meals, and I have to admit, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but let me say this, they were good. They were really, really good. And they helped me increase my protein. I saw fiber. My movement, i.e., going to the bathroom was normal. I was not constipated. Now, my biggest challenge still is getting enough water, getting enough fiber. So I can say eating those factor meals for lunch and dinner definitely helped. So I wanted to talk about the fact that, yes, I've been on Wegovy for 3 months. And while I can say I was really disappointed in the scale and what I saw on the scale, I can honestly say I had non-scale victories, meaning the inches are coming off, which is what I'm looking at too. I probably was averaging about 0.5 pounds per week, but I will tell you, me losing the weight slow is not a problem for me, because the biggest objective is if I can get my blood sugar numbers down and no longer be a pre-diabetic, that is the main goal for me. And I will tell you too is that slower weight loss can help actually with not having as much saggy skin. I felt like because I'm doing Burn Boot Camp, which is a lot of resistance training, I'm seeing that I'm gaining muscle and losing fat. So while this journey of the 3 months was not nearly what I wanted or anticipated, I can say I'm happy. I'm happy that I am seeing progress. I think that now that I'm maybe getting a little more control over my actual calories and my portion control, that may help me as well. But I wanted to say though, to those of you who may be experiencing that slower weight loss while taking Wegovy, a semaglutide, don't get discouraged. Keep going. I went and I did some research because I really want to see what is the reason why I'm losing so slowly on this semaglutide versus when I took the tirzepatide. And one of the things they said, if you're experiencing slow weight loss on a semaglutide, there could be several factors considered. One, I already talked about the fact that if you're insulin resistant, and the fact that if you have some type of blood sugar regulation going on with your system, then you should actually be checking your blood sugar to know what's going on with your blood sugar. And that's why I do wear a continuous glucose monitor. Like I told you before, my doctor would not prescribe it for me, but it's been working for me. And honestly, to tell you the truth, if I wasn't monitoring my glucose and I was just focusing on the weight loss right now, I would be very, very discouraged. But because I'm doing the research to learn about blood sugar, to learn about how it impacts me, how it turns to fat, I'm learning about what foods impact me, what foods don't. And I will tell you again, by taking the factor meals this week, I did not see those spikes like I was seeing. So even though I was trying to monitor the different things of what I was eating, the factor meals kind of kept me in a good rhythm. I did have one meal that spiked me over than what I would have anticipated, but that was one meal. So one of the things they talk about is the dosage. They say the effectiveness of semaglutides can depend on the dosage level. Well, I've been on the low dosages. I have not increased up to the higher dosages yet. Now, I just started back on the 0.5, and I'm considering whether or not I'll go up in next month, but I'm still weighing my options. So that's one of the things that I'm monitoring is with this Wegovy, will I have to increase to the higher dose in order to see more weight loss? Another thing they talk about is your diet, and you know, we all know the different things about the diet. And for me personally, this is another thing, I'm not comparing yourself to other people, because I am a pre-diabetic and because certain foods impact me differently than other people. I can't eat the same thing that they might be eating, and I do have to focus on the protein and increasing my protein, because I know the protein won't actually impact my glucose, meaning it won't give me those high spikes which can turn into fat. Another thing they talk about exercise. I'm like, well, I'm exercising 3 to 4 or 5 times a week, so that surely can't be the issue that I'm seeing with the slow weight loss. But the good news is I am gaining muscle, and muscle is heavier than fat. Another thing they talk about, adherence. Okay, I'm taking it like I should. Metabolic factors. So that's something that I really started doing research on, because they said individual metabolic rates vary, and factors such as age, gender, and genetic influence can influence your weight loss. Well, I am over 50, so that's something that I have to take into consideration, that there could be some metabolic factors that's impacting me in this weight loss with the semaglutide. While I saw good results on the tirzepatide, I'm not seeing as fast results on the semaglutide. They also talk about how other medications can interfere. So one of the things you have to do is look at your different medications to see if they could be impacting your weight loss. That's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration. Medical conditions, I've already covered that. And then duration. It says weight loss can be gradual, and it's important to have realistic expectations. So that's when I really had to come back and say, okay, get real. What's your realistic expectation? So realistic for me is, like I said, if I can lower my A1Cs and no longer be a pre-diabetic. And yes, I would like to lower my weight, but if it takes me a little longer, I'm good with that. I think that's something that you have to take into consideration and say, hey, I'm good with the slow weight loss as long as I see the health benefits. And that's where I'm kind of weighing it out, saying health benefits versus weight loss. Because see, you can lose the weight, but still your health benefits are not as attributable. While it helps, it may not be what you need. So that's one of the things that I'm looking like. And then after the next 3 months, I'll reconsider if I can say, hey doc, this wasn't successful. I'm not seeing the weight loss on the semaglutide. Am I in a position now where I can show that to my insurance company, hey, Wegovy was not successful for me? Now, where they say, oh, you also still have to try the Saxenda, I don't know. But this is one of the things you have to look at. And like I said, for those of us who are taking the semaglutide and we are seeing the slower weight loss, we have to realize there's a reason for, we have to realize there is a potential reason why. And then once we address those reasons and we're still not seeing the weight loss, then yes, then we can go back and say, hey, semaglutide's not successful. I need the tirzepatide version. Or like in my case, I'm going to see if the higher dosages work. So the good news is I am seeing weight loss. I did lose weight this past week. I lost over 3 pounds. So I'll see what I'm going to do next week. I have a second week box of Factor coming in, so I'm excited to see what that's going to do. And then I'll keep you posted as I go along, and I'll tell you my pros and cons of the different things. But I just want to be an encouragement to those of you who are like me, who may be insulin resistant, you may be pre-diabetic, you may have PCOS, and you're not seeing that weight loss. Just know it's still about us trying to implement those lifestyle changes. And even with lifestyle changes, we know that it's going to fluctuate. And once we can wrap our minds around that and not be so dependent on we got to have the drug in order to do the other things, I mean, I think it's a whole package thing that we have to do. When we realize that this is a journey, it's not a fast journey. It could be slow for some and faster for others. But don't be in comparison with others. Be in comparison with yourself. As long as you know internally you're doing the best that you can do and that you're striving to do better each and every day, I think that's the key element of this whole thing. And I want to thank you again for watching. If you haven't done already, go ahead, like and subscribe. I'll continue to take you on this journey with me. But I just want to talk about, hey, I did not lose the weight that I anticipated for 3 months on Wegovy. I didn't. And I think, like I said, when I got sick, I lost all that weight. But then, let me tell you something. When I could eat again, I was eating. I was like, okay, I couldn't eat for almost 7 days. And I'm going to tell you something. When I could start putting food back in my mouth, I did. And that's why I took off those 3 weeks. But now that I'm back focused, back trying to get back in the line of what I need to do, I want to tell you, don't be in a place where you feel like you can't be truthful about, hey, I'm not losing the weight like everybody else. I'm just not. It's not coming off as quickly as everybody else is saying that it is. And those of you who may be seeing a slow weight loss, go ahead and put it in the comments so that we all can say, hey, we in here. There are those of us who are not losing as fast as other people are reporting. And we'll keep going and we'll keep doing what we need to do. And I just want to say I appreciate you following me. I appreciate you liking and subscribing. And we'll continue on this journey together. And I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching.